guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you a comparison video today between the leather F50 adizero or the synthetic F50 adizero. With every new release of the F50, this is always the big debate, and today's video is going to answer which model is the best option for you. Now keep in mind that you can check out the full written reviews on my website, soccerreviewsforyou.com. Both links can be found down below in the description. Also on those review pages, you're going to find Buy It Now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes if you are interested in ordering either of these two shoes for yourself. So be sure to go ahead and check those links out down below in the description. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Starting off with the uppers, obviously this is going to be the most significant difference between the synthetic and leather upper variations of the F50 adizero. It changes up the overall feel, it changes up the fit, it changes everything about the shoe. And like I mentioned earlier in at least prior videos I've made of the F50 adizero, there has been a major emphasis on the synthetic model this time around, and I truly do feel that if you're going to buy an F50 adizero in 2014, the synthetic model is by far the best choice of the two upper variations, and I'm going to explain that why throughout this entire video. Now, starting off with the synthetic model, gone is the Sprint Skin Synthetic, which to be fair wasn't all that bad on the previous model that this has just replaced. Instead, it's been replaced with a hybrid touch synthetic similar to what you're going to find on the Predator LZ2 and the Nitrocharge 1.0, but obviously in a much thinner form factor. Basically the major difference here is that it's much softer, it's much more flexible, even more so than something like Teijin Synthetic found on the Mercurial Vapor 9, and it just offers a very high quality barefoot feel on the ball, which is something that I personally really like. You can see the cutoff point is right here on the midfoot, wraps all the way around the forefoot toe box, cuts off at this point, and the tongue itself is also made from hybrid touch synthetic. It's finished off with a kind of artificial leather grain, as you guys can see, and you're also going to have a little bit of dribble text kind of grip coating right here at the tip of the toe. Not something that I found to be completely noticeable and really super relevant to the overall feel of the boot, but still worth mentioning, of course. Moving to the back half where you have the seam here, you're going to have what's called speed foil synthetic, which is essentially something that's not necessarily designed for touch. At least that's how Adidas has described it, and I'm going to get more into that later. It's really something that's designed to be as light as possible and very structurally supportive, and not flimsy or anything like that. So you can see it's basically just a mesh layer with kind of clear layers of polyurethane fused over top or some type of plastic material, and that is what makes up the back half of this particular shoe, and it's far enough back to where it's not going to have any effect on the overall touch, any effect on fit or discomfort whatsoever. Now if we move on to the leather upper variation, you can see that Adidas has more or less reverted back to the older style adizero. If we look at the previous model, which to me was the best leather adizero Adidas had ever put out, they've kind of taken a step backwards. They've taken away most of the leather that we had on the previous model. You can see it cuts off pretty much right at the forefoot on both sides. Doesn't even go past the first lace holes barely, which to me is a really big shame. If you're going to call something a leather shoe, the midfoot has to be made of leather. So instead, you still get that same Golio calfskin leather. It's the same quality we've come to know and expect from the F50 adizero. Exact same thickness. Does provide a decent quality soft leather touch on the ball, but for the most part there are better leather shoe experiences on the market. Now if you look at the tongue and midfoot, it's made from speed foil synthetic, which, like I said, Adidas has not described in any of their press releases or anything like that as a type of material that is based around touch. It's something that's based around keeping parts of the shoe that are more or less not important when it comes to touch structurally stable while also lightweight. So I found it to be a very interesting choice to use this material through the midfoot as well as on the tongue, because it is the exact opposite in terms of feel when compared to the soft padded leather at the forefoot and toe box area. So if you make a touch on the ball here, it's going to be soft and padded, whereas if you make a touch here, it's going to be super thin and more of a barefoot feel. So there's a very much inconsistency across the entire foot depending on how you make touches on the ball. Not to mention that this material is not very flexible whatsoever, does not feel good against your foot, and I just found it to be extremely uncomfortable even after break-in time. It reminds me very much of something like the side panel material on the Nike GS. Very cool concept, but not very comfortable whatsoever. Still, like I said, the real gripe I have with this particular shoe is that they've given us less leather this time around and replaced the midfoot material with something that I feel shouldn't be a type of material based around touches on the ball. As far as other versions of the leather adizero, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking, Adidas also released a blackout and whiteout colorway that featured the exact same segmentation of leather here in the forefoot, but instead featured a perforated synthetic material that is significantly softer and much more comfortable than this particular colorway would be. Now, moving forward, if I were to make an educated guess, we haven't seen more colorways of the adizeros than what we have so far. The blackout, the whiteout, as well as the leather version here, which is the blue launch Samba Pack colorway. But if I had to guess, future colorways of the F50 adizero will feature a midfoot with the speed foil synthetic, and if that is the only option, I strongly prefer the synthetic version over the leather variation, especially with the speed foil synthetic. If you must have a leather adizero, I strongly recommend going for the whiteout or blackout colorway with this perforated synthetic material. It's much more comfortable, it provides a slightly more uniform touch on the ball, but for the most part, if you want a really nice high quality leather soccer shoe, the leather F50 is probably not the best choice. But if you're looking for something with a barefoot feel, the synthetic F50 adizero is really good. Just to quickly touch on the overall traction, you're going to be getting the exact same sprint frame and stud pattern combo on both the leather and synthetic upper variations. They've reverted back to the rounded heel counter, which honestly doesn't make a big difference in terms of feel or overall performance. And of course, you get that redesigned stud pattern in the forefoot, which I feel is a definite improvement over previous models. Not to mention that the shoes are also MyCoach compatible, so if you do have that MyCoach chip, you can slot it in the boot and track your stats. If there is one difference between the two when it comes to overall traction, I would say that the synthetic model is slightly more responsive and feels a lot lighter because one, it fits better, and two, it actually is lighter. The main attraction of the F50 adizero line is of course the extremely lightweight construction of the boot, and of course there is going to be a weight difference between the synthetic and upper variations, which we're going to see in person right now. Now I'm going to weigh both of these shoes for you today in real time. Keep in mind they are both a size 9 US. So we'll throw the synthetic model on the scale first, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 5.8 ounces, so under that 6 ounce mark, which is incredibly impressive, incredibly lightweight, and in fact, the synthetic F50 adizero is the lightest shoe currently on the market, at least as far as I know. So we'll take that off the scale, we'll throw on the leather upper variation, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 6.5 ounces, so they're a little bit more in terms of weight in comparison to the synthetic upper variation. There's not a lot more weight, to be completely honest with you guys, but again, the overall tight fit and responsive feel of the synthetic upper definitely does make the synthetic version feel a little bit lighter on your feet, but for the most part, if you're looking for an ultra lightweight feel, you're going to get that from both of these two shoes. When it comes to fit and overall comfort, I would describe the synthetic adizero as fantastic, and I would describe the leather adizero as needs improvement. Of course, with the leather adizero, you're going to have that soft Golio leather at the front of the shoe. It's flexible, it's soft, and will stretch to the exact shape of your foot, making for a very comfortable feel, like I said, in that area of the boot. Moving on to the midfoot though, you have speed foil synthetic, which is very rigid, is not flexible, does not curve to the natural shapes of your foot when you actually pull the laces tight. Because of this, it has these awkward bumps and creases that you can't get rid of, and it even opens up here on either side of the ankle, which does take away from some of the heel lockdown. And again, this is something that is just a flaw in the design and not something you can actually fix due to lacing the shoes up any differently. I also found that the stiffness of this speed foil synthetic, especially on the instep because I do have slightly flat feet, I really found that it kind of gave me foot cramps when I pulled the laces tight, just due to the lack of give in the upper itself. The upper has to have some kind of ability to stretch in order to feel comfortable, and speed foil synthetic just does not have that ability. So for that reason, I really did not enjoy wearing the leather adizeros. Moving on to the synthetic model, It does have a slightly tighter cut than we've come to know from the synthetic F50, very similar to something like the Mercurial Vapor 9, and it definitely is a more narrow profile shoe because of that. So if you do have wide feet, this probably isn't the best model for you. I would say that neither of these two shoes are particularly great for wider foot types. For the most part, if you have normal to narrow width feet, you're not going to have any issues fitting into either of these two shoes. And like I said, if you're looking for that high quality, zero space feel in your shoes, the synthetic F50 adizero is definitely going to do that for you. In terms of sizing, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US in both of these two shoes, and the fit is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair, I would strongly recommend going true to size. Alright guys, that's it for my comparison between the leather and synthetic F50 adizeros. I think if you watch the video, it's pretty clear as to which one is not only my personal favorite, but also the clear winner when it comes to which one is better of the two. And that's something that I really haven't been able to say about the adizero over the last couple of years. It's always been that the leather and synthetic upper variations have something to offer, but this time around I really don't feel like the leather version of the F50 is all that attractive of an option. At the $200 price point, there are much better leather shoes in the same as well as much lower price ranges than this particular model. So again, if you must have the leather adizero, I guess it's not too bad. But if you're buying an F50, then honestly the synthetic upper variation is the way to go. In my opinion, this is the best F50 model that Adidas has ever put out. It's ultra lightweight, great fit, really high quality synthetic upper, and I like the new traction pattern a lot. It's significantly better in performance, at least in my opinion, in comparison to the past adizero stud pattern. Now with all that being said, if you guys would like more details on the overall performance of either of these two shoes, be sure to check out the full written reviews on my website, linked down below in the description of this video. Also on those review pages you'll find buy it now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes to get yourself some additional discounts if you are interested in ordering a pair for yourself. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I definitely will get an answer out to you. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.